not like any other podcast, coming to you straight from the heartland where investing is told like it is. It's time for Darin Garman's Paranoid Banker Podcast. Hold on, because here comes the next episode of the Paranoid Banker Podcast.
Hey there, Darin Garman here, and welcome to this week's podcast. Before we get started, I want to remind you of our Investor Property Discovery Day, our Apartment Community Ownership Discovery Day in July is going to be on July 18th. That's a Thursday. So from about 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., you take the time to go with me and not only look at the assets that are already owned by myself and partners. We'll get to tour some of those assets and check things out. As I said, kind of pull the curtain back a little bit. That we'll also be looking at projects we are working on as well. So properties we have in the hopper that we're looking at buying, closing on, investing in, and taking over. We'll see that. And so this has become a very good way for investors to see what all the fuss is about and why hundreds and hundreds of investors are involved with us here in the heartland of America in owning apartment communities. So the next one, as I said, will be happening on the July 18th. That's a Thursday. So if you want more details on that itinerary, what we're going to be covering, and even information on logistical stuff, just simply get in touch with us here and we will get that information for you. All right, let's jump into the podcast for this week. So this week's podcast is about cataracts. That's correct, cataracts. My cataracts. And before I even go into that, I'm looking at my calendar here and, just trying to get some things mapped out and planned. We're taking over a 120 plus unit project here in the next few weeks. We've got another 56 unit project we're taking over, and we're trying to get all this accomplished with staff being gone, on vacation, seminars and conferences coming. And on top of that, you got a 4th of July holiday in there. And you can bet, what is the 4th of July this year? Yeah, 4th of July is on a Thursday. You can bet that people will pretty much start checking out on Tuesday. That week's shot, pretty much. Tuesday people will start checking out. The day before the 4th of July, forget it. You hardly will be able to get hold of anybody. Thursday, the holiday, of course, no. Friday, the day after the holiday, and the day before the weekend, pretty much no. So yeah, I'm looking at all that and I'm thinking, holy, how are we going to get all this done? But anyway, we'll get it taken care of. And that's actually beside the point. I don't even know why I went off on that. But anyway, we're talking about cataracts today. And we're talking about mine. So I'm in my early 50s, and the last exam I had at the eye doctor, which was, I'm embarrassed to say how long ago it was, but it was a while ago. I was having trouble, when they cover each eye and you read the letters on the wall. And of course, the bigger ones aren't so hard, and then they go down to the smaller and smaller until, the letters are so small you can't read them. We've all been through that, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so my right eye wasn't that big of a problem, even though it was a little problematic. I got through it okay. But my left eye couldn't see anything. All I saw was a blur. That was it. It's like looking through I told my wife, I said, it's kind of like looking through a window that has steamed over. You can see through the outside, but you really can't see anything because the steam's in the way. And that's what it's like for me with this cataract in my left eye. So since I was having issues, seeing, long story short, doctor takes a closer look. Not only do I have a fairly good-sized cataract developing at a good pace in my left eye, of course, I've got another one just getting started in my right eye. So I got double the fun. And so anyway, he tells me, not surprisingly, hey, we need to get you in to get some surgery done, get those cataracts taken care of. Of course, I say that's a good idea. Let's do that. Let's make a plan. He says, fine. I'll be in touch with you with some recommendations. And it's basically a referral. So, he's going to refer me to a specialist that will do the cataract surgery, and we're on from there. Well, that happened months and months and months ago. Okay. And I'm still here, sitting here. The cataract not getting better, it's worse. And the other one developing, not getting better, it's worse. And so, if you cover my right eye and just look out my left, I'm like walking in a fog. And I mean like a dense fog, pretty much. And so, why in the hell haven't I gotten it taken care of? What am I doing? What am I waiting for? And it's really funny because, sometimes you can be pretty good at doling out, advice, I guess I would call it, on, here, based on my experience, here's what you should do and here's what you shouldn't do. So a lot of people ask me for advice, of course, on apartment investing, apartment community ownership. And that's been the case for a number of years, all the way down to, kids, advice my kids want. And I think some of us, including me, are probably pretty good at giving advice, especially on things you know about, you have knowledge about. It's different to give advice on something you have no experience with, and that's another story for another time. But things that we've got experience with, I'm happy to give advice on it. Real estate stuff, apartment investing, everything to do with apartment ownership, investing, management, buying, selling, all that kind of stuff. Happy to do it. And of course, part of that is there's never really a good time to do it. So a big problem that a lot of investors have, and you may be one of them, is they're waiting for the right time to invest. So I get, when we have projects come up from time to time that investors can get involved in, of course, there's many, 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 many more interested investors than at the end of the day investors that decide to pull the trigger and invest. And if you line all of those investors up that did not pull the trigger and you ask them, hey, why didn't you invest in this? The majority of the answers, not all, but the majority of the answers would be, oh, it's just not the right time. And there'll be an excuse for whatever reason it's not the right time. And so, I've, over the years, part of advice that I've given investors or people or entrepreneurs over time, has kind of been there's never really a good time. You just need to do it. Things tend to work themselves out pretty well as long as you take action and are committed to it. And there's never really a good time. So waiting for the good time is not a good idea. As a matter of fact, you're worse off by waiting for the right time or the perfect time than like pulling the trigger and doing it. And that's not to say that I think people should be spontaneous. There should be some thought and some strategy involved in everything, of course. But, far too many of us, I think, wait for that perfect time. And so I give out this kind of advice, but here I am, thought hit me today that I've been waiting for the perfect time to get this damn eye surgery done. Here I am still having the cataract issue, and I've had it for months. Why? Well, I'm waiting for the perfect time when, when I'm not so busy with work, with projects, with partnership stuff, with ownership stuff, with my partners, with people visiting, with our discovery days, some personal things going on, all that, you mix all that together, you can easily say, or I should say I can easily say, geez, it's not the right time right now. Well, if I really wanted to get it done, and if it really became something that was a super priority, I would get it done, like right away. And so the problem is, if you really wanted to magnify this, the only way I would probably be motivated to finally take that step and get it done is something would need to happen, right? So, for example, maybe while driving there's a close call with an accident. Maybe because of my eyesight I didn't see something and maybe there was a close call. Heaven forbid, maybe there'd be a close call with a pedestrian, right? Maybe I wouldn't see something on a property that would be pretty important to see and know about because of this. And so I think far too many of us, including me in this case, we understand that we need to take action. We need to know there is never a perfect time or right time to do something. I mean, sometimes there's perfect times and right times, but far too many of us wait and think that it's going to magically happen and appear. Like me with my cataract surgery. I just think somewhere in my schedule, there's going to be some perfect time, some perfect day that's just going to emerge for me to get this done. And until that day appears, which we know it won't, right? I know it won't, deep down. Or there's some big motivating, bam, kind of hit me in the face reason. I'm just going to go through every day with this damn cataract situation. And I realized this morning. And I said to myself, what the hell are you doing? You got to get this done. You got to get it scheduled and you got to get it taken care of. It's important. So I'm made an appointment to go through the process of finally, getting this done. And as I was going through that and looking at my planner and thinking about all this, I came up with the thoughts that I'm having here. And these thoughts not only relate to me and my surgery here that I got to deal with, but it really relates to most everything that we're involved in, doesn't it? We seem to make procrastinating excuses and reasons to not take action and to put off with really the important things we know we need to do. So, we're really not going to procrastinate too much or wait for the perfect time to, for example, go to the grocery store and get groceries or to get gas in our vehicles. I mean, the simple daily cares of life stuff, we don't even think about that, right? But the big things, the major things, they tend to pop up like this, and we tend to have issues like this, don't we? So the big decisions, we tend to want to wait for the perfect time, right? Or the perfect time will appear here pretty soon. When they never really do they? They never do. We somehow think they will. We somehow tell ourselves stories and others stories that they will. I mean, we kind of lie to ourselves and lie to others really about it. And they never really do. And that has to do with my cataracts, big decisions. And it has a lot to do with investing, especially investing in apartment communities. Because a lot of folks, when they finally had decided to get involved in a project with us, or more than one, because here's what happens. The majority of apartment investors that get involved with us don't get involved in just one, they get involved in more than one. I mean, it's close to 90%. And the reason is because, obviously, that after the first time, now they know, and now it's not such a big deal. Now they don't have to wait for the perfect time, right? Because now it's more comfortable. It's more everyday, daily cares of life now. Whereas before it wasn't. It was a huge decision. And with those huge decisions, those big investment decisions, we tend to wait for the perfect time. When in actuality, there never is a perfect time, and we would be far, far better off pulling the trigger on something that, after study and strategy, of course, made sense, versus waiting for the unicorn to appear, and that's our investment. And so if this is you, I want to remind you of a couple things. First of all, as I mentioned early in the podcast, we're almost halfway through the year, just days away from being already 50% of the way through 2019. That just sounds weird just saying it, but it's true. And you can bet the next half of 2019 will go faster than the first. And you still are waiting for the perfect time or the right time. You've got a perfect storm brewing for you right now in terms of demand from tenants, demand from investors, tax treatment, income treatment, rates of return for apartment communities. I'm sure someone would argue with me if we looked hard enough, but there's probably no better time than now to be owning your own apartment community and finally getting your money to work for you versus you working for your money. And what does that take? That takes action. That takes not waiting for the perfect time. It takes moving forward, right? And so I'll let you know how my cataract process goes and surgery goes and all that. It hasn't been scheduled. I don't have a date yet, but I will soon. Just waiting for a few things to work out there. So I'll keep you posted on that. But in the meantime, give some thought to what I've talked about here on this podcast. And it not only has to do with investing, because, we talk a lot about investing and entrepreneurship and those kinds of things on this podcast. This has other areas. What other areas in your life does this apply to? The big things, the big deals. And I'm sure there's more than one area, right? I'm sure there's more than what I'm talking about in mine. I'm just not thinking of it right now. But when it comes to investing and it comes to where we are as a society, the opportunities for money to be working for you versus you working for your money, this is the perfect time. The timing is perfect right now. Okay. So keep that in mind. Not only as you think about where you're at with your income and your net worth now, but where you visualize that being in the future and what you seeing that being in the future. As you project through your time machine, what do you see? And if there is help and assistance and some work that needs to be done on that, because of maybe past investment decisions, maybe because of starting late, maybe some investment goofs here or there that might have been made, whatever the reason. The perfect time for apartments to help you get to where you need to be is now. Okay, it's right now. Even if you have to have some surgery like me. All right. So, look, have a great day. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. Good talking with you today, and we will talk to you later. All right. Take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye. Hey there, Darin Garman here. And before we wrap up this podcast, just want to give you one other quick reminder of our Investor Apartment Community Discovery Day on July 18th. That is a Thursday. Make sure you contact our office to get more information on that. You can do that email or phone. You've got our contact information. It's all over the place. So check that out. We will be happy to get you information on being involved. The number of those participants is always limited, so keep that in mind and get a look behind the curtain as to what the big fuss is about here and why hundreds of investors are involved with us and continue to be involved with us and continue to grow by owning their own apartment communities here in the heartland of America. So get in touch with me over email, phone, fax, on the web, whatever is easiest for you, and we will get you information, itinerary information, logistical information on our Discovery Day on July 18th. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks for joining Darin Garman's Paranoid Banker Podcast. For investment questions, comments, or to get in touch with Darin, go to www.garmanblog.com. Thanks for joining Darin Garman's Paranoid Banker Podcast. For investment questions, comments, or to get in touch with Darin, go to www.garmanblog.com.